Well, good day, family. Pastor Jamal here. Pray everybody is well today. So today's moment is more or less like a public service announcement. It's not a message or necessarily a counseling session per se, but it's more of a public service announcement with a little tweaks in it, I guess. So I want to start this off this way. So I was in a conversation earlier, or I had got some information, and I was kind of going over it and reading it, and it was really good, and it was sent to me kind of in connection to what we want to do with the ministry, or just kind of some ideas or whatever. And then I kind of started to feel overwhelmed, and I've had this feeling before, and it was, it's kind of all around. Have you ever been in a room with a bunch of people who seem to know everything that everybody else was talking about, but you kind of like are the only one out of the loop? It's like everyone is communicating in and with the same type of language, but because you're unfamiliar with the language or the words being used, it overwhelms you, and it even angers you, kind of makes you feel unseen or even incapable of participating in this specific group. I think everybody kind of has been there, when you're learning something, or you're trying to figure out something, and you get you start participating in things that seem like it's above your pay grade, right? And the result from this type of position, more than likely, will be separation or a deep sense of dread. It's almost like trying to explain simple technology to an elderly person who's never had the experience with certain technological systems. For them, it's like trying to understand rocket science, at least in the moment. I know I've been there. Forgive me if my mom hear this, but sometimes they'll call and ask questions about seeing things that just seem like third grade stuff. But in actuality, it's just a simple process of unlocking or unblocking what their experience and their perspective is keeping them from understanding. We've all been there. I remember saying, I used to cringe at the statement at first when it was like, if I can understand this, you can understand it. And for a long time, I was like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? No, I don't get this. But once I got into it, I realized how simple it was. And whatever that thing was at the time, and probably the person said that because they really was that kind of person too, who was like, I feel like an idiot. I feel like I'm not just good at anything, but once they grasped it and they understood how easy it was, that thing actually made sense. So, like most of our experiences with God, this is where this is going. Like most of our experiences with God in the beginning, or even along the way, every level of our journey is being paved with unfamiliarity. I think I said that right. We're just not sure what to expect. So we go through the motions of fear, worry, doubt, and just those feelings of being not capable of overcoming this level of language. Just sit with that. We have those feelings, those moments, man, I'm not going to be able to do this. I think that's what a lot of our hearts are screaming. But thank God, there's always hope. There's always a ram in the bush. So I want you to start looking at Rising Ground Church from this lens. This ministry is here to help you to learn and participate in developing the language of connecting with God's plan for your individual journey. This is what this place is all about. At least one of the things, but it's rising ground. Again, it's going higher and higher, in things that maybe you didn't think you could move forward in. And of course, the meat of it is spiritual things, because the spiritual, again, translates into the physical. Physical. Everything that God wants to show you and give you, it starts spiritually first. But you got to recognize what God is saying and what God is doing in order to even maximize the manifestation of the thing physically. So, and I wanted to say this specifically because I know a lot of you have problems when it comes down to surrender, or the word surrender. I think that surrender is a great point and actually LaShandra had pointed this out. Surrender is a great example of what it could feel like to a lot of people that don't understand the language of it. So again, when you hear surrender, sometimes just like you're standing in a room full of people who's talking about something that they're talking about a specific thing, but they're using a language that you're unfamiliar with and you just don't understand. And so it starts to make you feel, anxious, angry, irritated. And, it's mainly because God has a language to connecting with him. And when I mean language, I'm not necessarily talking about words. It's literal. It's a spiritual understanding. It's a spiritual knowing. It's an awareness of God's heart, so that when language is used, you can connect it with his nature and his character, and you can allow the Spirit to pull to you its truth. You see, we can't really get there unless we actually know where we're going. And sometimes the signs to show us are filled with what seems like riddles and hidden ideas. But most often, it's just a language barrier that's easily conquered with a few tweaks and adjustments, and most of all, faith. So people, I pray it makes sense. Go back and listen to this again. There's always spiritual nuggets and truth and things, even when they don't sound so spiritual or so religious. But I know you got it. Pastor Jamal, Rising Ground Church. I'll talk to you. Peace.